When you've been hurt, you've got to make a choice to pray, a choice to forgive, and then finally the third one is a choice to bless. As crazy as that is for people that aren't Christians to understand, it's a choice to bless. We bless those who have hurt us. Paul said this in Romans chapter 12, verse 19. Do not take revenge, my friends, but leave room for God's wrath, for it is written, it is mine to avenge, I will repay, says the Lord. On the contrary, if your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he is thirsty, give him something to drink. In doing this, you will heap burning coals on his head. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. And then Jesus said in Luke chapter 6, verse 27, but I tell you who hear me, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, pray for those who mistreat you. I don't like those verses either. But they're powerful verses. We got to pray, we got to forgive, and then we choose to bless. I face the same kind of garbage you do, folks. I mean, sometimes people look at pastors. Most of you don't because you know me well enough by now, but many people will look at a pastor and think that they live in some ivory tower and don't face the same kind of temptations or issues or anything else. But rest assured, I pretty much do. I may not walk into the same stuff that you would walk into and then face the consequences of that, but we all live in a world of pain and a world where people get hurt, and pastors get hurt, and we have people betray us and backstab us and different things. But I think I would argue that it's easier to forgive somebody who hurts me than it is for somebody who hurts somebody I love, for me to forgive them. Because if you take a shot at my wife or hurt one of my children, that's not cool. And I would tend to hold grudges at that point. I would tend to want revenge. Not biblical, I'm just saying. I think it's easier to forgive people who have hurt me than it is for those I love. And it's probably the same for you or similar. When somebody's hurt you, especially if you've had children, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Christmas is forgiving. Christmas is all about forgiveness. That's the whole story. That is the Easter story, or the Christmas story. Getting ahead in my planning. Christmas is forgiving. It's a time to reach in to our family. It's a time to reach in to our small group. It's a time to reach in to the bonding of our good friends and connection that way. And so I wonder, this is in your notes, I wonder what's on the other side of forgiveness for you, for your family. What's on the other side? You know, if you could just deal with this face to face, I think you'd have the best Christmas ever. Because most people have some sort of broken relationship, hurt, damaged relationship in their life. If you'll just deal with it, if you'll just face it, if you'll just hit it head on, let it out, cry, punch a pillow, scream into a pillow, eat the carpet, do whatever you got to do as you bow down and just get frustrated and mourn those lost years because they're gone. Those years are gone. Do what it takes to allow God an opportunity to do something amazing. A miracle. Grab this moment and know that God can bring healing to you today, this week, this season, this Christmas. Look what happened to Joseph in Genesis 45, verse 8, and then jumping down to verse 14. So then it was not you who sent me here, but God. He's talking to his brothers. Then he threw his arms around his brother Benjamin and wept, and Benjamin embraced him, weeping, and he kissed all his brothers and wept over them. Joseph is in a situation where he's like saying, hey, the reality is, guys, brothers, you brothers who betrayed me, was going to kill me, you left me in a pit to die, and then you sold me to slavery. You sold me into slavery. It wasn't you who did that, it was God. And Joseph saw the beauty in that. Instead of turning at God and going, what are you doing? You totally dissed me, God, after I made the right decision after right decision after right decision, after I was faithful and faithful and faithful. You turn around and you do this to me? No, that's not how he acted. He got it and realized that God's deal is more important than his deal. That he could have never gotten to be second in charge of all of Egypt had he not had those things happen, had his brothers not betrayed him. He put it all in perspective and said, hey, brothers, not Christians, brothers, you brothers of mine who did this to me, it wasn't you. It's okay. It's okay. And he hugged every one of them. And he wept over them. But that doesn't negate the years of issues that he has had all that time leading up to that moment. Can you imagine how painful that was? What he had to deal with, what he had to struggle with. He put it all in perspective in that moment, and all that emotion came out. Probably a very difficult one, probably a tough one, but he did it. And what Joseph got was a Christmas miracle. A miracle that all those things would be okay. All those relationships would be restored. He didn't even know if his dad was alive. And he was. This is great news. Tough, but great news. What's on the other side of forgiveness for you? If you could process this, if you could deal with this, and maybe it's too fresh, maybe the wound's too deep right now, it's just too fresh. It won't be later, but maybe right now it is. It's okay. I'm asking you to consider the possibility of forgiving those who have hurt you. Because Christmas is forgiving. That's what it's all about. The baby Jesus being born to forgive the sins of the world so that we could live forever in heaven with God. For Joseph, it was reconciliation, it was restoration, it was resolved conflict, and I hope the same is for you this Christmas.